All right, let's dive in. Today, we are cracking the code of our cities. We're going to peel back the layers on the streets you walk every single day and reveal the powerful, sometimes hidden ideas that design the world all around us.
I mean, have you ever really stopped and looked around your town and wondered, why is that park right there? Or why are the buildings in this part of the city so incredibly tall? Well, none of it is random. The answers are actually rooted in a series of dramatic, competing ideas, all sparked by a single crisis that totally reshaped the world over a century ago.
In that crisis, well, it all kicks off with the Industrial Revolution. Now, this was a time of unbelievable progress, right? But for the cities that were powering it, it was a moment of complete and utter chaos. It pushed them to the absolute breaking point.
So picture this. Factories are popping up everywhere, and millions of people start flooding into cities looking for work. The cities just explode in size. But here's the thing. They grew around the factories, not for the people living in them. There was no plan, no structure, just this wild, uncontrolled, chaotic growth.
And when we say chaotic, we mean it. I mean, just imagine living there. The streets are choked with smog from coal smoke, the rivers are basically industrial sewers, and you've got whole families crammed into these tiny, unsafe rooms. There were no parks, no clean water, disease was everywhere. This wasn't just messy, it was a full-blown public health disaster.
So right here, out of this absolute nightmare, a brand new idea is born. People started to realize, hey, maybe we can't just let our cities grow wild like this. They had to be designed. They had to be planned. And this, right here, was the moment humanity started to consciously try and shape its own urban future. So what was the first big idea to fix this mess? Well, it wasn't about fixing the city at all. It was about escaping it completely. This was the vision of the Garden City, a totally radical attempt to just start over and build something from scratch. So this guy, Ebenezer Howard, he looks around and he sees two big problems. You've got the grime and squalor of the overcrowded city, and you've got the economic decay of the countryside. His big idea? Let's solve both at once. Let's build brand new towns that have all the jobs and opportunities of the city, but with the fresh air and community of the country. And he had a very specific blueprint for this. First, the land would be owned by the public, so no one could get rich just by hoarding it. Second, the population would be capped at 30,000 people to stop it from getting overcrowded. And maybe most important of all, each city would be wrapped in a permanent green belt of farms and nature. The whole thing was designed to be a perfectly balanced, self-sufficient community.
But at the exact same time, another group of thinkers had a completely different take. They were basically saying, whoa, hold on, don't run away from the city, tame it. Let's make it beautiful, orderly, and downright inspiring.
This idea came out of the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. People called it the White City. And the City Beautiful movement had this incredibly powerful belief. They thought that if you surrounded people with beautiful buildings and grand public spaces, you could actually make them better citizens. It was this idea that you could literally design civic pride.
And this quote from the movement's leader, Daniel Burnham, just captures that spirit perfectly. They were not interested in small fixes. No, they wanted to create these awe-inspiring cityscapes with massive boulevards, majestic government buildings, and huge, sweeping parks. Go big or go home. And their impact, it's all over the world. You can see it in the monumental, low-rise skyline of Washington, D.C. You can see it in Chicago's incredible protected lakefront, and you can even see it in the grand boulevards in cities as far away as the Philippines. These places didn't happen by accident. They are the direct result of the City Beautiful dream.
Okay, but then the 20th century rolls around, and a new generation of architects comes on the scene. And they didn't just want to tame the city. No, they wanted to completely reinvent it for the modern age. And that led to two wildly different visions for our future.
And this really created a fundamental split on how we should live. On one side, you had Frank Lloyd Wright, who dreamed of Broadacres, a totally decentralized America, where every single family got an acre of their own land. This, by the way, is basically the granddaddy of suburban sprawl. Then on the other side, you had Le Corbusier, arguing for a super dense city of towers, which ended up becoming the blueprint for public housing projects all over the world. Now, these visions were unbelievably ambitious, almost like science fiction, but probably nothing was more out there than a proposal to build a skyscraper that was a full mile high. Yeah, that's 528 stories tall. And this is it, Frank Lloyd Wright's The Illinois. But what's really fascinating here is the reason he designed it. This wasn't just about building tall for the sake of it. The idea was that just a few of these massive towers could house most of a city's entire population, which would free up all the rest of the land to become green, open park space. It was a vertical solution for a horizontal, wide-open dream.
So where did all this leave us? I mean, which vision actually won? Well, that brings us right to the cities that we live in today, and the tangled, complicated legacy of all of these competing ideas.
The truth is, none of them won. Not really. Instead, our modern cities are a hybrid, a mashup, a messy, fascinating, and sometimes totally contradictory combination of all of these historical dreams, all layered on top of one another.
Just think about it for a second. That dream of the Garden City, it's alive and well in our suburbs and our planned communities. The ambition of the City Beautiful, it's literally carved into the stone of our capital cities. And Le Corbusier's City of Towers, that's the skyline of pretty much every major downtown on the planet.
So these plans, some of them dreamed up over 100 years ago, they are still the invisible blueprint shaping how we live, how we work, and how we get around every single day. And that really leaves us with one big question to chew on. What bold new ideas are being dreamed up right now that will become the blueprint for the cities of tomorrow?